Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another review. We're taking a week off again from the Bodystyle build. We finally have behind me here the Raptor liner. I'm going to be finishing up a few things on the boxes and I'll be back with you probably in about 2 weeks to finish up that Bodystyle build. So if you've been watching those videos, you're following along, I'll put a link here to those videos. And you can also maybe down below as well. You can see those if you haven't seen them yet. But today we're going to be doing a review of my Leer topper. I know a lot of people call them different things. You can get a truck camper, truck topper, truck cap, whatever you want to call it. It is that sort of shell. I got it 3 weeks ago probably, and wanted to do so because I wanted something that would be really quite waterproof, like my old backflip bed cover, but give me a little bit more room height wise. It pretty much almost doubles the volume you get of waterproof storage. The downside obviously is that you can't stick a fridge vertically in your bed anymore, but I've had my truck for 7 years and I've never done that. Hopefully I won't have to have a need to do something like that, because that would obviously be really tough now. So, without further ado, we'll just kind of go through it. I'll take the camera over there, show you the things that I like, the things that I don't like, which are very few at the moment. And then just kind of walk you through the inside, the outside, what the features are, and how it all works. Alright, so here is the truck topper. I went back and forth for a while as to whether or not I wanted this, wanted the look. I know the look isn't for everyone. I'm still not sure if I love it in terms of how it looks. I think I do like it quite a bit from a lot of angles. For me, since my truck is lifted, it doesn't look quite so long and odd. When if the truck's not lifted like this, I tend to feel that it kind of looks like a long burrito otherwise, but it's just so convenient that I kind of wanted to see how this worked for me. Come over here, you can kind of see the one thing I do like about this. I think it was just kind of coincidental in terms of how my truck is put together. The trim on these windows here and the front window here, it's this sort of plastic piece that wraps up and around and then it transitions to rubber. The window trim on the topper is exactly the same here. It's like a plastic and rubber in it. The effect is that it has a very sort of factory feel to it. It doesn't look different. The one thing that I don't like about the topper, I think maybe one or two things total, one of them here, is the fact that the factory windows have curved glass. It kind of follows the curvature of the body. I don't think it would have cost a whole lot for them to do this in mass. Would be to make these windows curved as well. These are just flat panels, and you can kind of tell in the sun it just would be a lot more complete if they had curved glass here. I think they do this, don't quote me, I think they do this for their 100XQ model, where it's just one singular window. The reason I wanted a sliding rear window is I have a dog. I want to put him in the back. If I take the screen out someday, I'll just have him stick his head out of here. I didn't want to have a window that would just kind of pop open a little bit. So that's why I got the sliding window, and I'm still glad I did. I just kind of think it could be improved upon, the look could, by having glass that curves. Moving to the back here, I guess the second thing that I don't care for is this plastic. It's just thin and flimsy, and I think this will probably be the first thing to go on this. The next thing that is specific to the truck is I drive a 1500, and you'll see this piece of plastic here put on by the installer. They have to take off for this model year is a thicker plastic piece that normally goes here. They take it off so the lid fits flush against it, and they take some adhesive tape and stick to it a second piece of plastic that's flush. So One thing I didn't care for was the installer kind of rushed this, and there's a bulge here and a bulge here. I can always take this off and redo it myself properly. You know, it's not what you want to see for a $200 install job, but it could have been worse. I think the thing that was most important for me was, I've seen this in other videos, if you look down this line here, there's not really a, you know, this top here is flush with this in terms of the line, and it is like that all the way down on this side and on this side as well. That was the first thing I looked at, because I'd seen videos on YouTube from other individuals that was an issue. So for me, getting the fit right was more important. So opening it up here now, I went for a keyed lock. I didn't want that whole keyless thing. There's just too many things going on, too many you know, potential failures in the future. I think the final third thing that I wasn't impressed with on the topper were these plastic pieces here and here. This hinge up here, and this guy here. You know, they came from the factory kind of custom sun faded already, which wasn't awesome, but I ended up happening to just the prior week be putting a ceramic coating on everything, so I hit that and it brought it right back, which surprising it would need it new. So unfortunately that had to be fixed, but I was already in a position to fix it real quick. Opening this up though, I do like the gas springs. They're very powerful. It shoots the door right up every time. You know, they're just struts. Come on here, you can replace them pretty easily if you need to in the future. The opening mechanism is up here. This thing works quite nicely. They've got this internal opening plastic handle in case you need it. Open up the tailgate here. If you haven't seen the videos on the bed drawer and you want something like this, I suggest you watch it. If you have been following along, you'll see here I've added a locking mechanism. Just kind of machined it out of some aluminum tube, put a little wooden core in there, and then a little wooden peg for a handle. If I get comments below asking for a sort of instructional video or some measurements, I'll create something for that. So I got one on that side and one on this side as well. So that keeps it secured. Anyway, the reason I built the bed drawer was because I knew I was going to get a topper and I wanted something to easily allow me to load the bed without having to crouch in here. But for this video, we're going to hop in and crouch anyway. So onto the topper. Shut these off. Onto the topper. Now, the things that I do quite love about it, this carpet headliner, which I was very sort of skeptical about initially, was I've heard people say that this headliner does a really good job of acting as insulation on a hot day. It actually does. It's significantly cooler to the touch here, obviously, than the outside, but it keeps it about 10 degrees cooler in here than it does outside. So for as thin as this carpet is here, I wouldn't have expected that. So I'm surprised and pleased with that. So far, I've been driving around with this thing for a few weeks. These J-clamps have held in place, no issues with that. In terms of functionality, I really like having this sort of ledge here to act as a shelf. You know, working in the bed, I put my phone and watch and other things on here before. Works nicely. I went for, in terms of options, this back window. I went for the removable window. It's got a latch here. There you go. That opens up. And when I was buying this, I think the deal for April was it came with this option for free, but it just, you know, folds out like this, and you know, you put it back. The reason I went with that is because it is literally impossible to clean the glass on the back of the cab without taking that out. So from my perspective, if you're getting a topper, you should get one with removable glass of some kind, because otherwise you're going to have a very dirty window in the near future. The I guess on to the sliding windows now. They are a little stiff. You have to pull the screen sort of latch mechanism here. Pull that back and really give it a tug, but it does open up. When you're in here, if you're camping in here or whatever, it does allow quite a good breeze to come through. There we go. There and there, if you open up both of them, you get a good crosswind. So that's the window open and shut. Moving back now to this guy, I have seen other videos where, you know, they had a bunch of wiring in the Leer topper here. And it looks like since then, in newer years, they've kind of cleaned that up. They've got a nice little, I mean, yes, it is still exposed wiring. I think ideally I'd want that sort of hidden under the carpet, but you know, it's cleanly done. They've got the rubber seal here, into the plastic tube, into the light, into the plastic tube, back up into the tail light here. But you press this guy, nothing happens. I'll get onto that in a second. Essentially, I gotta unclick that, and now this light will come on. It is quite bright, as you can see. It's just an LED. But the reason it didn't come on the first time I clicked it is because when I had them install it, I had them wire it to this switch. So if I ever wanted to be in here at night or something, if I did go camping, or if I just wanted to control all the lights from one spot, I can. I've got my bed lights in here and here, and this guy up here. I can shut them all off with the click of this button. That's off, that's off, that's off. So I just had them tap into that. So as long as that button is off, you know, as long as the bed lights are on, this will come on. And I can operate that separately. So in terms of how clean it is, you know, I kind of like it for the fact that it's a truck bed. It's not going to look like an SUV. It's not, you know, SUV quality, but it is good. Now, I have had, bringing up SUVs, I had people say, well, why didn't you just buy an SUV if you were going to get a topper? It's like, well, SUVs don't have a 6.5 foot trunk. That's pretty much the only reason. Plus, I do have the option still to take this off. I can take the topper off. It's just a job and a half, and not something you would want to do frequently, but you could do if you needed to. Moving on now, I think that's pretty much everything on the inside. Build-wise, you know, they kind of over-torqued some of these window screws, but it doesn't seem to have impacted the function. So I'm not too worried about that, just because, you know, again, it's the inside of a truck bed. So overall, I'm very happy with how this is put together. It seems to be clean, sharp, and you know, it fits well. It does exactly what I need it to. This box here, I didn't do any of the USB sort of power charging stations, but this one is just the sort of minimal wire connections for the taillight. Now, if you'll see these guys up here, I've got these plastic covers over the bolt heads, which are for, come up here, the roof rack. I have a, I had them install the roof rack. It was like $100 and something option. So if in the future I want to put, you know, ski rack, bike rack, whatever, some kind of storage rack up here, I can. So that was just a bit of future proofing. Again, the LED light here, tail light, brake light, third brake light. Nothing too fancy. It's not obviously super expensive. It's just, you know, it's there to serve the purpose, and it does it well. So I'm pleased with that. So far, I'm pleased with pretty much how it all looks, operates. It does exactly what I need it to, and hopefully it will continue to do that well for a while. I don't plan on getting rid of this truck for a while. I kind of want this topper to last at least the life of the truck while I have it. So from what I can see so far, I'm pleased with what they've put together. I think I think in terms of cons, there's a few, but for me, there's more pros. I did do quite a bit of research on the different brands of toppers. Leer just happened to be the cheapest one for the dealers near me. Let me hop out here. But you know, if you happen to find the Snug Top or Area or Century or whatever, if you happen to find those are more affordable for your truck or your dealer, then by all means. I just went with something that I like the lines of, that seemed to be, you know, economical, and you know, they aren't cheap by any means. So you know, find something that you think you'll like and you can live with. One thing I did want to point out, when I first got it, it had the Leer logo and the giant Leer letters on here. It was a rubber, sort of a sticker, a thick three-dimensional rubber, sort of like this is here, sort of soft and tacky rubber, right across the back in rather large letters, kind of like that. I immediately got rid of that the day I got the topper. Immediately started driving it, and you know, I looked out the back window, out the back mirror, and then you see these giant Leer letters, and for me that was more of a safety thing. Plus, it really didn't go with the look that I wanted. The other thing I mentioned was looking out the back mirror. You know, you've got 2 layers of tinted glass, so I don't think that one's tinted, but this one is. So one thing you're gonna have to get used to is an extra layer of tinted glass. It's like wearing 2 pairs of sunglasses, a little darker during the day. I've gotten used to it, but it was just an adjustment. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So I'll go ahead and just sort of list out the pros and cons. Pros: increases your sort of waterproof storage volume. If you want to have a pet in the back, it's a great way to do it without having to worry about them jumping over the side of the bed. With a bed slide like I've sort of got underway, it's a really easy way to keep stuff dry and load and unload the bed. If you ever plan on camping in your truck or going anywhere like overlanding, it's a really great way to do that and sleep comfortably without having to worry about a tent or anything like that, which, if you were so inclined, you could put on the roof rack. But you know, that's not something I plan on doing. If I ever go camping, I don't do that too much. I'm more of a backpacking guy. But if I were to ever go camping, hopefully I could use that space in here. The cons, like I mentioned, flat windows. I'd rather have them curved. The sort of faded plastic here and up there. Sorry about the wind. It's really windy today. Strange for mid-June, but I think, you know, the other con was the sort of build quality on the inside, where they screwed the windows together, is a little bit lacking. Other than that, I can't really find much. It all fits together real well. The only con was on the install when they kind of botched this piece, but you know, I can fix that in an afternoon in a couple of weeks when I get annoyed with it enough. Overall, I definitely like the Leer. This is the 100XR. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier. You can get, you know, levels down where they don't have the liner. I feel like if you're gonna get a sliding side window, the 100XR should have this curved glass, and maybe the level down with the sliding window should have the flat glass. But that's just my opinion. I think it would add quite a lot to the overall look. Anyway, that's the review. If you have questions or you know, other thoughts that I didn't cover in the review and you want to see me do another one, put them in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep the content coming. And I'll see you in about 2 weeks with the part 6 of the bed slide build. Thanks.